Welcome to Cut to the Chase, where we talk about compelling legal, regulatory, and public interest information and news. Your host is Greg Goldfarb, an attorney, entrepreneur, investor, and activist.
All right, folks, it's time for our favorite podcast, Cut to the Chase. I'm here with Klay Nichol to discuss one of my favorite topics, crypto and blockchain. Klay, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Greg.
So, I'm one of these kind of technology guys that still doesn't even really know how to turn on my TV. And I've spent so much time debating Bitcoin and is there utility? Is it going to stay around? Is it garbage? Is it not? And every time I have these debates with my cronies, colleagues, friends, we always end up saying, when they dispute, when they, say, oh, it's not going anywhere, it's going to crash, burn, whatever, everybody always ends up saying, but blockchain is going to be the thing. And I got to tell you, it's been 10 years and I'm where is the blockchain? I mean, I thought it was going to solve the voting issues, real estate transactions, and all that stuff. Well, Klay actually worked at Galaxy Digital for Mike Novogratz, and many of you might know him. He's one of the premier people in this world, and he's dealing with FTX and trying to get some people some money. But Klay basically saw that, like a lot of us, that the blockchain was not taking over the world. And he has moved on to found his own company, Stability Protocol, which is designed to correct all these problems. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's a good high level summary. So I got bit by the original crypto bug, blockchain bug, back in 2016, and was really enamored with how society could really reorganize itself on this technology. And I was at JP Morgan at the time. I've worked at JP Morgan for 8 years, Credit Suisse in London and Toronto, and I saw the efficiencies, the privacy, the security, the self-sovereignty, all these pillars that were really exciting brought me into the space. And I thought, what can I do to help advance this industry? And my skill set was getting institutions into the space. And I thought that if we could get institutional adoption, we would find the product market fit that we needed, hit escape velocity, and we would be where you were just describing, that in our everyday lives, just like the internet, blockchain was in our everyday lives. And unfortunately, we're not there. Where are we today? Today, we're at 15 million monthly active wallets across all relevant public blockchains. Wallets does not equal users. As much as people would love to, they often do in our industry, make them the same, it's a fraction. So it's probably 3 to 5 million people doing on-chain transactions. When you bring that into Web 2 terms, and then you bring it into like global terms of 7-8 billion people on planet Earth, we are at zero today. We are not utilizing this. Why? What is preventing us from using one of the most powerful technologies since the internet, which is blockchain? And I think there's a lot of focus on AI, but blockchain is this amazing counterforce to AI as well, which we can get into later on. But the big challenges are regulatory risk. No big company is going to take on a bunch of regulatory risk and get their company in trouble. And that's in the US for sure, but around the world, there's challenges on regulatory. We need regulatory clarity. So that's a challenge. User experience, abysmal of how a user can use it with wallet, hexadecimal stuff, like all that experience of like a ledger wallet, right? Like that's a big barrier to entry. Costs. If you're going to get to Web 2 scale, you got these things called the gas costs. Every blockchain transaction is a financial transaction, must use gas. And then lastly, let's assume you got past all 3 of those barriers I just mentioned. Can any public blockchain handle the scale of Web 2 adoption? No. The answer is no. And why? The big reason why is every public blockchain is optimized to drive value back to its cryptocurrency. How? Let's take Ethereum as a case study. More users, more transactions leads to more gas fees. And in Ethereum, more gas fees, they burn these gas fees. They remove them from circulation to create a deflationary environment on the token to drive the value of the token price up, to drive the security up, because security and token price are also linked. That is your flywheel. That means that you are now keeping your blockchain really congested and slower to make that block space valuable. That is optimized for a cryptocurrency, right? Not optimized for use and utility. That's what we are creating. Stability is the first utility optimized public blockchain.
All right, so let's take a time out, take 3 steps backward because some of the audience is like, okay, blockchain, I've kind of heard about that. It sounded great, but what is a blockchain? In your time, you referenced that there are several blockchains. So, I mean, like, is there one? Is there a finite number? Who owns them? How do they get created? Are you talking about like anybody like me saying, hey, I want my own blockchain. I'm going to, get some smart contract and, create my own token, my own user experience.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to see happen.
Yeah. So you had a lot of questions in there. I think the main thing is that there are lots of blockchains. There are a lot of similar blockchains that use similar code. There are some distinct types of blockchains. I don't know if it's going to be super valuable to get into each type and which ones, but the goal, or like what a blockchain does, is a data storage software. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about with a blockchain's technical term is distributed ledger technology, DLT. And that just means that a whole bunch of people, distributed, decentralized, have the same data, and it be immutable, and you can verify it. It can't be changed. That distinction is very powerful, because what it does is it allows us to collaborate. And in software terms, we call that composability, where you can interact and transact with this data with each other's businesses. And that's what businesses are built to do. Businesses from the beginning of time are meant to interact and do business with one another. The problem is their data systems are disparate. They're standalone, they're walled gardens, right? And they don't communicate. So if you're going to have a merger, or more importantly, not a merger, if you're going to have like a collaboration on American Airlines wants to do a deal with Starbucks and they want their points to integrate with one another, that today, because their systems are disparate, you would have a whole bunch of tech team, lawyers, crazy amounts of stuff that would happen. If they're on the same blockchain, that happens immediately. You could transfer and you could do a marketplace between those 2 points, and the commerce and the synergies and interoperability between companies is limitless. And this is why they call blockchain potentially Web 3, right? The next internet, which is supposed to be better than Web 2, right? Which Web 2, the internet we have today, is not composable. Businesses do not interact in that way. And that's what we're trying to strive for, which will unlock tremendous amounts of, value for everyone.
All right. So is this something, when you're talking about blockchain, and all right, you got American Airlines with Starbucks. Well, that sounds great, but I mean, I'm not running American Airlines. I'm not running a Starbucks. But do you foresee the possibility or the potential that the mom and pop shop is operating on a blockchain?
The question you're really asking is like, where is blockchain useful? Because there's a lot of people saying it's going to run everything. And I know I just kind of articulated that it could be the next internet, but the example that I shared with you on the American Airlines and Starbucks is you may have both of those points today, and you now can buy your coffee with your Amex points. That changes your day-to-day. Now you have currency that's moving. It's a different type of currency. We call it cryptocurrency, but it's just tokens. It could be, and now can you use those and have value? And the same thing goes into very different industries. Video gaming. Video gaming is one of the biggest industries on planet Earth today, right? You can't take your sword from this World of Warcraft and go take it over and sell it to someone else. That's all possible on blockchain. So we're finding significant traction going to video games, being like, hey, not only can we offer you free in-game transactions, remove all the bad UX stuff we talked about, but now we could create marketplaces, just like we were going to do with your American Airlines and Starbucks coffee, on your video game skins and tools that you have. But you can pick it in almost any industry, and that's where you start to see it really get sprawling. I don't know if that's getting too big, too heady,
No.
but
I mean, I'm trying to make sure I understand it. I think if I understand it to some degree, it's understandable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so help me visualize this. I'm a video game guy. I got a sword. I'm playing this one game, and I want to be able to use or sell it in another game on another platform. Am I doing this through my phone? Am I doing it through the internet? How does that happen?
Well, there's games. That's a question. There's games on all different ones. There's console games, there's PC games, and there's mobile games. And so the fact is you can integrate with all three of them. And all that you need, and this is really let's get into the user experience of how we're going to get billions of people involved here. What you do need is a wallet. And a wallet is something where you can store your digital assets and they know it's you and you can send your fees. It's like a mailbox. It's like your email box, right? But taking digital assets now, right? That is an important aspect. That's been a very challenging, poor user experience that no one wants, with seed phrases, meaning like you have to write these things down. If you lose it, you lose your money, all that jazz, right? So we partnered with a company called Magic Link, who has raised 80 million bucks. They've investment from PayPal. They're very, very solid at building this very easy, accessible wallet where you simply sign in with Google. One click, boom, automatically creates a wallet for you. Now you're ready to go. Yeah. Okay. The challenge is that in every other blockchain other than Stability, you have a wallet, but now you need to go put cryptocurrency in to do anything with it.
Yeah.
On Stability, for the first time ever, we are offering a free public use blockchain for individuals. Enterprises will pay a licensing fee, just like a SaaS product, a software as a service product. And that user, going back to the user, can, with an unfunded brand new wallet, transact on the blockchain. That's permissionless. That anyone can do that. That has never happened before. And that is how we get, so to bring that to life, to like really make it make sense, the best way I can describe this is we're on the Google startup platform. One of the things that they got really excited about is you go to your Google suite, right? Google has a suite. You can go docs and sheets. There's a whole suite of products. Imagine being able to go to any one of your documents and going file, save to blockchain.
Yeah.
For free. Okay, that is an add-in that we hope to build next year that will allow data provenance, authenticity of every Google document created. Yeah. That is not a financial transaction. That's a non-financial transaction. That is incredible utility and incredible value with blockchain that can change people's daily lives on how they authenticate their documents. All right,
so basically you would essentially be the platform. I don't necessarily have to get Ethereum, smart contract, develop my own blockchain to be able to use my sword and move it off to another gaming apparatus.
That's right. You would, like on Stability, you would just have the it really comes down to any game they have to be on the same blockchain. You talked about there being lots of different blockchains. The problem with that is that they can be interoperable, meaning like you can bridge assets between, but it's best if everything is on the same blockchain, and which we'll be able to do on Stability because we're the only blockchain that's going to have the scale that would allow everyone to bring all of their data and assets onto one blockchain.
Yeah. All right. So are they going to, in that situation, are they taking their data and their assets from a different blockchain and moving it onto your blockchain? In a simplistic kind of way of looking at it.
Yeah, the game would have to integrate with Stability. That would be relatively easy to do because we are what we call EVM compatible, which is a compatibility framework that is quite common. And then they could bring their game assets, their inventory, all of those things to the game, and then unlocks from there.
All right, so you just founded Stability Protocol. Are you up and running?
Yeah, so we founded it. We've been working on this project for 14 months. We're a team of 13 veteran builders.
Yeah.
And we went public testnet on November 1st. So we are now in public testnet. We are onboarding customers, enterprise customers, and businesses who are wanting to leverage this. We just got off the phone with one of the big four accounting firms. This is obviously a very interesting technology for a lot of the enterprises that they advise on. So we're working with a lot of mainstream blockchain advisory firms that do Web3 and blockchain advisory, because we are this unique public blockchain, not a private blockchain, because that's usually what enterprises are using today, that doesn't have cryptocurrency dependencies and therefore regulatory risk and all these challenges. So we're onboarding customers. We're at 4 or 5 customers, plus we've got a partnership with Google that we're really excited about. And we'll be fundraising probably in the new year, and you'll be hearing a lot more about us going forward, when we really start to ramp up marketing efforts.
I love it. All right, so give me 5 types of enterprises that you think have to call you tomorrow and jump aboard, so to speak.
Yeah, I think anyone in the gaming space that's interested in on-chain gaming, obviously of any description, or bringing that in. We've got track and trace and logistics, which is a massive, massive business. You've got simple things like Web3 loyalty, like I described to you earlier with Amex and Starbucks, right? Starbucks has a Odyssey program, which is a Web3, like something like that. This works. Web3 ticketing. Imagine every time you go through a turnstile and everything you do, you having that whole experience, like them knowing how to cater to you based on like what you've done, is another one. And so I think those are a few of the big sectors that we're starting to see quite a bit of traction in.
All right, 2 of the big sales features of your enterprise are that it's tokenless and permissionless blockchain. So
yes.
Tokenless, you're talking about you're not really involved in cryptocurrency.
That's right. You could run a token on top of it, but you don't need gas. You pay, every public blockchain requires a gas fee to be paid in the native cryptocurrency of that blockchain.
Yeah.
We don't have that. That's number one. Number two, permissionless. Everyone thinks public blockchains are permissionless because that's something that we say. What are they permissioned by, Greg? They are permissioned by cryptocurrency, which we just described is a very high bar to entry. We don't have that. We don't have that barrier either.
All right. And so explain to me, when you're saying, with the gas and all that, all right, so is that basically like how you're paying for your transaction?
Yeah, so the question, yes, exactly. Gas fee is to pay the transaction. Your listeners will often be like, well, how do you incentivize the network? How do you secure the network? That's a whole other discussion about consensus mechanisms and whatnot. Just safe to say that consensus is an area of academia that's been going on for a couple thousand years, and it's a huge area of academia. What we think is the mainstream consensus of proof of work, which is like Bitcoin, and proof of stake, which is like Ethereum and others, those are somewhat fringe consensus mechanisms. When you remove a token, we're able to move into much more rugged, durable systems that the banks use, like big tech firms use, that are highly efficient and highly ruggedized. So we have a consensus mechanism and incentive model that works very, very well, which we can dive in on another call.
Yeah. And we will, because, maybe 3-6 months from now, you're going to give me an update, and I'm going to have a better understanding about the mechanics here of all this stuff. I'm just going to call it stuff. You mentioned also the regulatory issue, which to me, as somebody that I'm all in on Bitcoin, Ethereum, a lot of these tokens, I love it. You know, and over the years, I mean, how much bad news any asset class could sustain and stay alive. I can't, to me, if you had, you know, my mother would always say, like, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you strong or whatever. You know, that's kind of how I am as an amateur, am seeing this all play out here. And the one thing that sort of brings me down on the crypto world is, okay, well, we're going to have to regulate. That's the only thing that's going to solve this, all these problems or whatever. But to me, that was the heart and essence of it, was it wasn't something that, you know, peer to peer, no third man, no bank, you know, no big fees or whatever to move money around. And now all of a sudden, you know, regulation seems to be, you know, the thing that's going to save, I don't know, crypto. Maybe, maybe not. But you're telling me in your space, you don't even have to worry about the crypto, even.
Yeah, because we don't touch it. And so that was a big when we went to the building blocks, like that was one of the, when we, all of the barriers, the root issue goes back to cryptocurrency. That's the root problem. So deal with it, right? And so we dealt with it. And you can't rely on the government to come up with sound, you know, regulatory clarity for in the near term in the US anyway. And like I want that for the industry, but I thankfully don't need to worry about it. And more importantly, enterprises aren't going to enter the space. I was there. I onboarded the first banks to cryptocurrency investment products. I was at the tip of the spear at Galaxy doing that. And they're not going to come without that clarity. And so why not give them something today? Because blockchain technology, as you started out this conversation, is ready today. Yeah. It's ready. And it's its own standalone technology. Cryptocurrency is also a standalone technology. We just needed to separate them, right? To get this to be ready today. And cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, give it 15 or 20 years, 30 years, it could be a world reserve currency, right? That's going to take a long time, right? And so I'm excited about, I hold Bitcoin. I don't hold any of the other tokens anymore because Bitcoin is a store of value. All of the other ones are trying to be more global compute type things, like what I'm describing, like what we thought Ethereum was. And unfortunately, when you have a cryptocurrency blockchain, it can't scale, it can't do all of these things that businesses needed to do. And why is it taking it this long to like come to this realization? Is the industry's not that long. It's 14 years old since the advent of Bitcoin, and they all started as what? Bitcoin started as a currency. It's designed to drive value back to its token. That's what it's meant to do. That's great. Optimized. We can't have global compute do the same thing.
Yeah. So what's interesting is like a lot of industries, you even think about like the renewable energy, you know, the government backs it, the government, you know, pushes it, but that's not really happened at all with the blockchain. I think to some degree, I don't know why they really wouldn't.
Because there's cryptocurrency involved, and it puts at risk the US dollar being the world reserve currency. There is something called a stable coin, which is a US dollar stable coin, which is the best use case for crypto today. The unfortunate part is that you must use a cryptocurrency to move this stable coin, which is a digital asset. On stability, we don't have that requirement. So we are going to be targeting stablecoin providers like PayPal, PiUSD, USDC. These are and be able to unlock the access of being able to move these digital dollars. That is how you get them on your side. Because if digital dollars don't require cryptocurrency, and you can have, as long as you have an internet connection, you can have a digital dollar, you've just increased the relevance and importance of the digital dollar around the world, because they're not going to be using, you know, different currencies in all these third world countries. They're going to be using a US digital dollar, right? Instantaneously. And that's what we want in the world, not the other way.
going back to the dumbing it down, just, some people have been, oh, stable coin, I've heard about that. What is a stable coin? What is the purpose of a stable coin? Why is it so important?
Yeah, to move dollars, coming back from my banking days, right? You want to move money right now to Asia, Greg. What are you going to do? You're going to pick up the phone, you're going to call your private banker at JP Morgan or wherever, and you're going to wire money. And if you don't have a private banker and you have to do it yourself, you're going to some teller somewhere who's going to screw up these instructions. It's going to take 3 days and it's going to cost you $50.
Yeah.
Right? That's today's system. It's an archaic system that's been transcended over the last 100 years. The new financial rails will be blockchain rails where I can do something peer-to-peer. I can send you, and now imagine trying to send $100 million or $500 million on that wire. Zero chance, right? Like bells, whistles, nothing's going to go. You can do all of that instantaneously for very low cost, peer-to-peer on a blockchain network. And you can use a stable coin. And a stable coin is simply an institution takes in a bunch of money, just like a bank, but they don't do it on fractional reserve. They actually hold 1-to-1 if they're doing it right, like USDC. And they take your dollar in and then they mint you a digital dollar that is now transactable. You can transact anywhere on this blockchain peer-to-peer with an internet connection for very, very cheap. The problem is that to do that transaction requires cryptocurrency today. We can do that without cryptocurrency.
Even though the stable coin's value is directly connected to the US dollar?
US dollar, but there's Euro stable coins. There's all different types of stable coins. It's more the fact that they're digital and they have a digital representation that's not tied to the traditional banking system. It's internet money. It's real internet money that can move easily peer-to-peer.
Fascinating, fascinating. All right, last topic. You were the one that raised this issue. Give me the AI meets blockchain. Are they two different topics?
So there are two different topics. They're obviously a hot topic everyone wants to talk about. They couldn't be more complementary. What do I mean? AI is a highly centralizing force. A few companies have all the data, the large language models. You have OpenAI, Facebook, Google, right? Amazon. They won. They're going to win, and you can't compete. You have really two options with your data. Well, take a step back. What's the most important commodity on planet Earth? Is human information and data. That is the most valuable commodity on planet Earth. And your commodity is, as an individual person, you can do a couple things. You can put it onto the internet and the large language model will scrape it, or you have it on some system like Google or Facebook or wherever, and they own it. And they're putting it into their language model. So there's no way you make zero money off that. You have zero exposure. That is only going to get more and more apparent. And the wealth creation is going to go into these AI companies, and you won't be able to participate, right? So blockchain is the yang, the yin and the yang. The yang is blockchain, and blockchain is a highly decentralizing force that gives sovereignty and power to that person's information to be able to sell their information that's theirs if they so choose to, and participate in that value creation. And there's many other options here, but that's a big aspect. Just thinking of it in those two really high level ways is a really great way to think about it, that you've got centralizing and decentralizing. AI went mainstream overnight, and blockchain's still stuck here for all the reasons we just mentioned.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's going to be a fascinating thing to watch. Have we missed anything? I mean, I know we've missed a lot, but
I'm sure, but I think we got most of it out there today. It's been fun catching up. Hopefully, I hope I didn't get too detailed or too, happy to break it down even more simpler in another conversation. But I think this is a great start. The real goal here is to really advance the blockchain industry and make an impact on society, because our industry has been all focused on speculation the entire time. And it's a bit of a circular reference. We need to get out of this circular reference if we're going to make real progress. And we're one of the few teams who, could have chased and gone and launched a token and did an ICO and are choosing not to. We're choosing to actually advance the industry and hopefully society over time.
nice. All right. Well, this is Klay Nichol, the co-founder and CEO of Stability Protocol, talking blockchain, how we're going to get there, how we're going to get this great innovative thing off the ground in a way that we can all use and advance our society. Just one last note. Some of you might see Klay's face and say, God, I love skating. I know I've seen him somewhere or whatever. So just so you know, his talents go beyond international finance and crypto and blockchain and all that. But he was also a two-time Canadian national figure skating gold medalist.
Wow, you're going back a few years, but yeah, that's a true statement. Fun fact. Well, you dug it up, so that's cool.
You got some skills there, my man. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. He's going to come back. So listen, you're out there, you're thinking, oh my God, I heard all these things. It sounds interesting. I kind of understood it. I didn't understand it. Leave me comments, leave me questions, what you want me to ask Klay back when spring rolls around after he's made his next big advancement on his Stability Protocol enterprise. And, clear up anything that you might have out there. Klay, have a good day, all right?
You too, Greg. Thanks for having me, man.
That's all for this episode of Cut to the Chase. But before you go, will you open up your podcast app and give us a 5-star review? You can also leave a comment about what you liked most or other topics you'd like us to cover. And please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming shows. Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there.